Welcome back everyone. Today we're talking about a car that has seriously shaken up the affordable electric car market, and that's the new MG4. But here's the big question, is it actually better than the all-new Renault 5? Because right now, if you're shopping for a compact EV with style, tech, and a price that doesn't destroy your bank account, these two are probably at the very top of your list. So instead of just reading out specs, today we're going deep. Design, performance, interior quality, practicality, driving feel, range, charging, ownership costs, and most importantly, which one actually makes more sense in the real world. Let's start with the design, because this is where things get interesting. The MG4 doesn't try to be retro, it doesn't try to look cute, and it doesn't copy anyone. It looks sharp, modern, and slightly aggressive. The front end is clean with slim LED headlights, the side profile has strong creases, and the rear gets that full-width light bar and sporty twin spoiler look. It actually looks more like a hot hatch than a budget EV. And that's important, because when you're spending your money, you want something that feels intentional, not cheap. Now compare that to the Renault 5. The new Renault 5 leans heavily into retro design. It's clearly inspired by the original 1970s Renault 5, but modernized with LED lighting and bold colors. It's charming, it's cool, it has personality. But here's the thing, design is subjective. If you want something playful and nostalgic, the Renault 5 might win your heart. If you want something that looks more futuristic and sporty, the MG4 might feel more grown-up. Size-wise, the MG4 sits firmly in the compact hatchback category. It's slightly larger than the Renault 5, which translates into a bit more space inside. And that becomes very important when we talk practicality. Now let's talk about what's underneath. The MG4 is built on a dedicated electric platform, which is a big deal. This isn't a converted petrol car. The battery sits low in the floor, which lowers the center of gravity and improves handling. It's rear-wheel drive in most versions, and that already makes it more interesting than many front-wheel drive rivals. Depending on the version you choose, the MG4 offers different battery sizes. There's a standard range version with around 51 kWh, a long-range version around 64 kWh, and in some markets even larger options. Real-world range varies, but you're generally looking at around 350 to 450 km depending on the battery and driving style. That's competitive, very competitive for the price. The Renault 5 also offers multiple battery options, with projected ranges that sit in a similar ballpark. But early tests suggest the MG4 might have a slight edge in real-world efficiency, especially at highway speeds. And that matters if you actually plan to travel beyond city limits. Charging speed is another critical factor. The MG4 supports fast DC charging, and depending on the version, you can go from 10% to 80% in around 30 to 35 minutes under ideal conditions. AC charging at home is also straightforward, and with a wall box you're looking at around 6 to 8 hours for a full charge. The Renault 5 is also competitive here, but MG has already proven itself with thousands of cars on the road, while the Renault 5 is still newer to the market. Now let's talk performance, because this is where the MG4 surprises people. Even the base version feels quick thanks to instant electric torque. Acceleration from 0 to 100 km/h is roughly in the 7 to 8 second range depending on trim. That's hot hatch territory from just a few years ago. And because it's rear-wheel drive, the balance feels different from most small EVs. It feels more playful. There's also the high performance version, the MG4 X Power, which is genuinely fast. Dual motors, all-wheel drive, and 0 to 100 km/h in under 4 seconds. That's insane for something in this price category. It completely changes the perception of what a budget electric car can be. The Renault 5 focuses more on urban agility rather than outright speed. It's light, nimble, and front-wheel drive. It feels cheerful in the city. But if you care about driving dynamics and the possibility of real performance, the MG4 clearly has more range in its lineup. Step inside the MG4, and you'll notice a minimalist interior. Two main screens dominate the dashboard, a digital instrument cluster and a central infotainment display. Physical buttons are limited, which can be slightly frustrating when adjusting climate controls while driving. The materials are decent for the price, but you'll find some harder plastics. It's not luxury, but it doesn't feel cheap either. The Renault 5 interior, on the other hand, feels more playful and characterful. It mixes retro elements with modern tech. Some versions even use sustainable materials and colorful trims. It feels more emotional. The MG4 feels more neutral and tech-focused. Technology-wise, the MG4 offers Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, driver assistance systems like adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist, automatic emergency braking, and more. Early software versions had some glitches, but updates have improved responsiveness significantly. The Renault 5 also brings strong tech integration, including Google-based infotainment in higher trims, which might be smoother and more intuitive. Space is where the MG4 quietly wins. Rear seat space is surprisingly good for a car in this class, thanks to the dedicated EV platform. Adults can sit comfortably in the back for short to medium journeys. The boot capacity is practical for daily use, shopping, and even small road trips. It's not massive, but it's usable. The Renault 5 is slightly more compact, so rear legroom and boot space are a bit tighter. It's perfect for city life, but if you regularly carry passengers or luggage, the MG4 feels more versatile. Now let's talk about ride comfort and handling. The MG4 strikes a very good balance. It's firm enough to feel stable and controlled, but not so stiff that it becomes uncomfortable. The low battery placement makes it feel planted in corners. Steering is light but reasonably precise. For a relatively affordable EV, it's genuinely fun to drive. The Renault 5 prioritizes comfort and agility in urban environments. It's excellent for tight streets, parking, and city maneuvering. But at higher speeds, the MG4 feels slightly more stable and mature. Ownership costs are another crucial factor. MG has built a strong reputation for offering long warranties in many markets. That gives buyers peace of mind. The price of the MG4 is often very aggressive compared to competitors. You get a lot of range, performance, and space for the money. The Renault 5th may carry a slightly higher starting price depending on configuration, but it offers brand heritage, strong resale potential, and a distinct identity. However, value for money is where the MG4 often pulls ahead. So, is the new MG4 better than the Renault 5? The honest answer is, it depends on what you value. If you want style with retro charm, a playful city-focused EV, and strong brand nostalgia, the Renault 5 might be the one that makes you smile every time you look at it. But if you want more space, rear-wheel drive dynamics, strong performance options, competitive real-world range, and aggressive pricing, the MG4 makes a very strong case. It feels like the more complete all-rounder. The MG4 isn't perfect. The infotainment system could be smoother. Interior materials could feel more premium. Some driver assistance systems can be overly sensitive. But for the money, it delivers an incredible package. And perhaps that's the biggest takeaway. A few years ago, affordable EVs meant compromise. Slow acceleration, limited range, basic interiors. The MG4 shows how far things have come. It proves that an electric car can be practical, fun, efficient, and relatively affordable at the same time. So if you're choosing between these two, ask yourself this: do you want character and nostalgia, or do you want performance and practicality? Because the MG4 leans toward logic and value, while the Renault 5 leans toward emotion and style. Either way, we're living in a time where small electric hatchbacks are no longer boring. And that's a win for everyone. Let me know in the comments, which one would you pick? The new MG4, or the Renault 5?